Hello, I want to do a demonstration on our agent Betty. You can see here I'm currently working off of a GitHub organization, which is mine at the moment, called Daniel Scholl OSDU. And I have 10 services that I support. 0 of them have been established. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to establish a fork for the partition service and let that little agent loop process. Okay, that has completed. We can click over here. And what essentially has happened is we now have picked up out of OSDU the partition code, established the fork in GitHub, set up the repository with our OSDU SPI engineering system in a secure, reliable way that is already configured to stream changes up and rotate them naturally through 3 different branches, from our upstream branch into the integration branch and then through the main branch all automatically for us. So this is an activity and an example of an agent loop and how that activity of that tedious process that we would normally do by hand has all been automated in essence or a fashion from our Betty agent. The other thing that we can do then is we can quickly go assess the status or the information in GitHub about this. And we can see automatically that we have an open issue. Some workflows are still processing. A lot of the workflows have actually run. So we're setting up the code QL analysis. The Dependabot has been set up. All of these things have been established, the scorecards and things like that. So we have an open issue, and I can go over to the open issue. And one of these things is to set up so that we can enable an additional feature in our GitHub Copilot agents, an MCP server. So we're going to go ahead and do this very quickly. Okay, and we've established the configuration for our MCP server. So now that we're over here, I could have just closed the issue, but I forgot. So let's go ahead and ask our agent to close it. Okay, we'll ask our agent to close issue number 2. Okay, that issue has been closed. And if we run status again, we should be able to see that our activities are cleaned up and we're just waiting for a couple of these workflows to process. Another thing that we can do, which is often done, is I want to assess possibly the CVE scans and sort of break that down and get an analysis. So we can do that. Same thing from here. We're going to go run a CV scan. We'll run vulns. Here we can see in the vulnerability assessment, okay, that we basically scan and we can break out and sort of see how many vulnerabilities were in core versus the Azure provider. We have a little bit of room for improvement. Plus we get an intelligent now analysis on the vulnerabilities to sort of see what the vulnerabilities were, what their impacts are, what we could sort of do to mitigate those problems and things like that. We're going to go ahead and open up another screen. Okay. And we can do the same thing. We can do the same thing out of the interactive loop. And so with dependencies, we're just going to sort of fire this off. And we'll let that run in the background. What this is going to do is it's going to do the same thing, run an assessment report about our dependencies in Maven to sort of give us a picture of those dependencies as well. I'll open up another screen here. Go back into interactive mode. Okay, and one of the things I want to do is try to discover what version of the core lib Azure I'm running. What version of core lib Azure is the partition service running? All right, it's reporting back says it's running 2.1.4, and I know that the latest version is 2.2.6, which has some vulnerability fixes in it. I want to bring that up so that I can see if I can increase or decrease the vulnerabilities in our partition server. So we want to actually upgrade that to 226. However, it's also paired with a version of OS Core Common, and we need to make sure that we're running at least 361 or 360 for that. So let's go ahead and fire off another prompt. Core lib create an issue, let's say. Okay, what we're asking here to happen is we want to do this work, but we're creating an issue in GitHub to do this. Okay, that issue has been created. Let's assign it to Copilot. So Copilot coding agent will actually work on this for us. Great. Now let's go ahead and look at our issue again, or our status again, and see the status. Okay, great. So we can see now we have that open issue, which is being worked to upgrade. It's been assigned to Copilot. Copilot has started a pull request to work on this activity, and it's queued and getting ready to run. So we'll go ahead and let Copilot actually work on that. What we're going to do is I want to go ahead and sort of demonstrate the power of things also at scale. So while that's working, we're going to ask our agent to fork services, entitlements, and legal. We're going to go and say, please fork down a couple more services and let those forks get created. And what we're going to want to do is run our sort of unit tests. So we were having a conversation with some peers, and the question had become, they wanted to talk about maybe we can increase some code quality. One of the activities that we could do possibly was look at the unit tests and things like that to say, do we have a lot of coverage? You know, how much coverage do we have? Is there any room for improvement by adding unit tests into some of our code to help increase our code quality? So that's what we're going to try to accomplish. But first, we'll wait for this to actually fork down. Okay, those forks have been brought down. So let's go ahead. We'll go back into our SBI agent interactive mode for a minute. And we'll say we want to run tests. So let's go ahead and establish tests and have our agent go run tests against those services and do an assessment on the tests for us. And all of these things are things, again, that an engineer would normally do and can do entirely, has been doing entirely by himself. We're just using the agent to accelerate us and to enhance our capabilities, to bring us more insights, to be able to offload work, to parallelize, to work at scale, and then see information across a larger amount of services than just one, to be able to sort of evaluate where work is done, where impact can be made. Okay, our tests have been run and then assessed. And I can see here that the partition service is looking really good for Azure, as well as legal. I don't know how that's even possible, but it's reporting at 100% coverage. However, entitlements has some room for improvement. Not sure what's happening there. So let's go ahead and send a prompt to our agent. I've copied it in here so you don't have to watch me type, but we're basically saying we want to see if we can bring the core coverage up on the Azure entitlement service provider and see if we can get closer to 90%. I mean, it's so low right now, it shouldn't be that very hard, but we don't want to write a whole bunch of test code since we have to maintain it if it's unmaintainable. So if it doesn't come up naturally, don't force it and just sort of write good code. That's what we're going to basically say. So we're going to go ask it to create an issue for this. Okay, so issue number 3 has been created for us automatically. Yeah, we want to assign this to Copilot. So we'll ask it to do that. All right, let's grab a quick status, sort of see what things are looking like. So now you see we've automatically detected I have more forks than I'm capable of looking at and sort of evaluating. So we have a partition. We had what we knew was on partition, which was upgrading the library. We established two new forks, and of course we have the initial MCP server configuration for these two that should be done. We're also then doing this core test coverage thing. So everything is sort of looking good. So let's go and actually look. We'll look at the PR. Yeah, let's look at this. Okay, we'll sort of see what's happening in here. So we're going to go into our agent mode here. And now you can see in GitHub Copilot, we have two agents that are working. One is doing the core lib upgrade. The other one's working on entitlement test coverage. And you can sort of see the running check here as it starts to work on that. So we're just going to go ahead and sort of wait for the agent. We'll walk away, take a break, and let these agents go to work on this. All right, back from a coffee break. And it looks like this one's done. We can see here that it's accepted the criteria. We're going to go dig into that for a second. This one here is still plugging away, 31 minutes. So it's getting a good amount of time. I don't know what it's really doing. We're going to see whether or not it can get the job done. But we'll go look at this one. Let's come back here and let's look at our status again. The entitlements is needing, so entitlements has some actions to be required. This is for PR number 5. So we can say that, approve the workflows for PR number 5 entitlements. So we'll get those going again. Partition though, looks good. Let's go look at sort of this draft. All the checks have been done. Let's say ready for review. So we'll send this in for a review. Copilot also then has the capability to do code reviews. So we're going to see what Copilot does for a code review. He should come in a second and give us, he's already done it. He's very quick. And he has no issues. So I don't think I have any issues. We've got 214-226-352-361. Let's submit that for a code review. We'll say ship it. All right, and it's ready for approval. So we have a sort of a challenge here, though. Our issue is, what good does this do here in my fork? This is not where I want it. Where I actually want this is in OSDU. So let's see here. Let's clear our screen. Let's see here what capabilities we have. We can enter help. And we have a capability called send, which sends GitHub PRs to GitLabs as merge requests. Let's try this. Let's say send. This was partition. I believe it was PR number 5. Yep. Send partition --PR 5. So what we're saying is, I want to pick up this PR that I've just done using GitHub and Copilot and all the AI goodness around GitHub. And we're going to go ship that upstream. In which case, now I have a PR over here. And we can come, and this PR has been picked up and changed over here. We can just edit this a little bit, clean this up. Really, I want this to be a bump. There's some things in here probably people would get confused at. So let's just say we'll dump all this stuff down here. Yep. That's just going to confuse everybody. We'll save those changes. There. That looks pretty good. It's going to be this one. So let's go ahead and create that trusted branch. So this one will go through. Trusted off of GitLab MR5. Create that branch. And we have it coming through. So just like that. So what I've done is I've picked up the MR that I worked entirely offline, have proceeded to do whatever I worked on, picked it up and moved it into GitLab, which is a powerful feature, especially when you think at things at scale, that I could do a whole bunch of work, come back, and then pick all that work up and move it upstream into OSDU to get work done. So we also have the ability then, which is a helpful process. Oh, I know what I didn't do though. We got a little excited here. We need to add a couple labels on this. Nobody knows what this is for. So this is for Azure. Send that to Azure. We're going to say this is a milestone for Venus. This is work. There, that's a little bit better. So now we're going to come over here, clear our screen again, and we also have the ability to say, what if I want to see the status of what's going on in OSDU at scale instead of having to go manage all those things, that now I can start to get AI insight into what's going on in OSDU and help me manage my MR, look at the things that is going on here. So we can use a provider flag called GitLab, and hopefully I'll be able to see then activities of things that are happening in GitLab. This doesn't look like GitLab. Provider. Let's try that again. Oh, I know, it's platform. My bad. Live demos. It's a platform is GitLab, not the provider. The provider is AWS, IBM, Core, Azure. There we go. So this is helpful then. So now we can sort of see we've got some open issues. We got 2 pipelines running and 2 MRs that have to do with Azure. And here's the one that I just did, which was 721. And so 721 is starting to work through. And now I could go through and start to see and work with the trusted branches and things like that. 710. So I'll have to go work, but you can, the idea is now I can move the trusted tests. I probably didn't hit the branch in time and stuff like that. But you get the idea that this information then is extremely helpful to get things and work done. The final thing that we're going to demonstrate is I don't really want to wait for the moment for all of the GitLab to get done. What I want to see is whether or not this PR actually helped us and lowered our vulnerabilities. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and merge this. This is PR number 5 on partition. We could just do it there, but let's go ahead and do it here. Merge PR number 5 for partition. Okay, it's merged it. I probably should bring down the latest code. Can you pull the latest code for partition now? Okay, so this should be merged, which it is. Good. And we pulled the code. So what we want to do now is actually run the vulns again on partition, sort of see if we added any capability. So on one of these screens, we had, this one was dependencies. So we had fired off dependencies earlier. So you could see we have some dependency updates, 2 majors, 3 minors, and a patch. We get a nice sort of breakdown of where the dependencies are that are out of sync, that could be upgraded, what the latest versions are, so that we can sort of work with it. We get some analysis done for us on what if we just want to do patch updates, what are the low risk items, the medium risk items, or if we want to go full to major updates, and we can establish those issues, see if we can go get GitHub Copilot to work those for us and things like that. So this one here, I think, so we were at 4H and 5M, and we'll give that a second to actually run. While that's running, let's just do a quick check to see this guy just finished the entitlements. I wonder what happened here. I have no idea. So let's go to entitlements. I don't even know where it is. So let's go back here. Let's clear get PR for entitlements. So we don't have to do everything with the loops. We could just go tell it something. It has full access to be able to work with PRs, issues, comments, things like that. See if we could save ourselves some time. All right, here's the one that it was. It was pull request 4. Nope, pull request 5. Let's just sort of see what it did. Failed its build and test. So you could see here that we ran and we had some build and test issues that, well, probably somebody's Core Plus failed. So there's some work. So we succeeded in these, but the change and the bump means I'm going to have to go back and tell Copilot, hey, we're going to have to go and bump sort of Core Plus as well, which is very good information to know. I didn't have to wait and have that dependency found for me. And let's just sort of look at the pull request and sort of see what it's done. We're not going to send this in this demo, but not too bad. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files changed. It's added some generated some nice tests for us. These tests look fine. Don't really see any issues, but somebody that's a maintainer on entitlements might be much more interested in this. But you get the idea that once I got this worked and things like that, and I'm just using AI, I haven't actually done any of the work technically myself. I'm just using AI to do that. Once I'm happy with that work, I can ship it upstream and have all of that activity then in the goodness of the AI helping out on that for us. Let's look at our final, see if our vulnerabilities has been done. And I'm at 2 high and 1 M, and I was at 4 high, 5 M. So I've moved and I've actually increased myself. I got a grade of B. So I moved from a B to a C, and all of that just done by AI. So hopefully this demonstration has been helpful to demonstrate and show sort of the power of Betty and working against the new Venus layer and leveraging all of the agent capability and agent AI capability to sort of help me as an engineer, but bring benefit, bring down the cost of all the tedious activities I would normally do myself. Thank you for watching.